What is a homegrown national park? Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. With us is Dr. Doug Tallamy, author of Nature's Best Hope and the new Young Readers Edition. Hi, Doug.
Hello, Fred. How are you?
Terrific. Well, you're a professor in the Department of Entomology and Wildlife Ecology at the University of Delaware, and you are giving young people and grown-ups some inspiration here. Tell us about it.
Yeah, that's the hope anyway. The Earth has two major problems today. It's got climate change, but it also has a biodiversity crisis. And the biodiversity crisis does not get the press that it deserves because we depend on nature as much as we depend on a healthy climate. And we're in the process of destroying it. So we've got parks, we've got preserves, but we're in the 6th great extinction event that the Earth has ever experienced, which means they're not enough. We now have to practice conservation on private property. That's where we live. And that puts the private property owner in a very powerful position to help biodiversity. The big problem is they don't know that. So that's what these books are about, is to describe what the problem is and the average person's role in conservation in the future. And the young readers version is focused on young readers. They're the future stewards of the planet. And again, they don't know that. So this is to prepare them for their extremely important role in the future.
Well, when we talk about things that can be done by the young people and their parents here, what are we talking about? And I guess we can zero right in on those big green lawns that are all over the place.
Yeah, we've got 44 million acres of lawn. That's an area bigger than all of New England combined. And it's the way we use our lawn. It's an ecological dead space. So I talk about reducing the area in lawn, and let's just say we're going to cut it in half. That would give us more than 20 million acres that we could restore right where we live. And that really is the basis for creating Homegrown National Park. We're going to create a little park right where we live. And the easiest way to do that, depending on where you live, is simply plant a tree, plant 2 trees, plant an acorn. It's free, and any child can do that and watch it grow. Oaks, by the way, are the most powerful plants we can put in our yards in terms of biodiversity because they support the most life. So this doesn't have to be hard, but when you put that tree in there, you put a bed around the tree, you've reduced the area that's in lawn. That would be step 1.
And so you're not talking about paving over or putting gravel down to replace the lawn so you don't have to cut it. Talking about doing something more productive.
Everything starts with plants. Plants are capturing energy from the sun and turning it into food, and that's the food that supports all the animals on the planet. So yeah, gravel is not going to do it. Pavement's not going to do it. We've got to put productive plants back. And the reason lawn doesn't work is it's not a productive plant. We mow it every week. It doesn't support anything. We put fertilizer and herbicides on it. So it's not designed to support biodiversity. Let's put the plants that are designed to support biodiversity into our yards.
And maybe we should think a bit different when it comes to what we put in a garden.
There's 2 kinds of gardens. There's vegetable gardens, and we need to grow what we eat. So I'm not really talking about that. The gardens that we play with for aesthetics, it's typically a small little area of your yard. So I don't usually talk about gardens. I talk about the entire landscape. We need to think about the plants that are on all parts of our property, including our gardens. Most of the plants in our gardens are from other countries. We call them non-native plants, and many of them are highly invasive. They escape our gardens, and then they go out into the natural areas and push out the native plants that do support biodiversity. The problem with non-native plants is they don't support much biodiversity because of host plant specialization. It's more than we want to get into here, I think. But the point is the insects that support the food web, all those insects that the birds and everything else eat, for the most part, cannot eat those non-native plants. So we want to favor the native plants that they can eat so that you have breeding birds in your yard. If you want to have a single family of chickadees in your yard, it takes 6,000 to 9,000 caterpillars to make that family of chickadees. Where are they going to get those caterpillars? They've got to get them from the plants in your yard.
Sounds really interesting. What are some of the other things that you're telling young people that they can do here proactively?
Well, one of the important things that young readers can do is to create a pollinator garden. We need to focus on particularly the native bees that pollinate most of our plants. You know, if the plants don't get pollinated, they don't reproduce, and then we don't have those plants anymore. So the way to do that is to put the plants that support specialist pollinators into your garden. We've got about 4,000 species of native bees, and over 1/3 of them can only reproduce on the pollen of particular plants. So you want to put those plants in your garden. The generalist bees can use those plants as well. So if you meet the needs of your specialist bees, you've met the needs of all the bees. And that can be, that can be as small as a potted plant on your balcony, or entire meadow in your yard, and anything in between works. The other thing that you want to focus on is having flowering plants all season long, from late April right through the end of September. And the more you succeed in that, the more species of native bees you're going to support. So those are all great projects for young people.
Tell us about the urgency here, and the sense of urgency you're trying to convey.
Yeah, there is urgency. I'm not here to scare everybody, but we've already lost 3 billion breeding birds in North America. The UN says we're going to lose 1 million species to extinction in the next 20 years. And they said it 2 years ago, so that's now the next 18 years. It makes a nice headline, but it's not an option. These are the species that run the ecosystems that support us. These are the ecosystems that provide life support that keeps humans on this planet. We are so detached from nature now, we tend to think we don't need it. Big mistake. We're totally dependent on it. And we've got to stop these biodiversity declines. The UN recognizes this. This is why they had their big conference in, I guess, Montreal earlier this year. What are we going to do about the biodiversity crisis? And most people think we're going to put aside more land for parks and preserves. That's great. We want to do that, but we've got to support biodiversity where we humans are. In this country alone, we've got 135 million acres of residential landscapes. We cannot expel nature from all of that area and expect it to work.
So for more information, Doug, obviously we want people to buy the book. Are there places that people can go to learn more here?
Yeah, I recommend going to our website, homegrownnationalpark.org, and lots of information there. How you can join Homegrown National Park, and it is free, by the way, and all the benefits you get really directs you in this effort to save life on planet Earth. Remember, this is a selfish action here. We need it for ourselves. It's not just that we're being nice guys for nature. So that website's full of information.
So it's Homegrown National Park. And how did it sounds terrific. Tell us how that came about.
Well, I learned about the statistic of how much lawn we have way back in 2005. So I started talking about the fact that we had so much lawn and we needed to reduce it in my talks. And then in 2020, the book, Nature's Best Hope, I had a chapter in it called Homegrown National Park. But it wasn't until 2 years ago that I met a woman, Michelle Alfanderi, who she had just retired from a marketing branding career in New York City. And she heard one of my talks and she said, you've got to reach the people that don't know anything about this. And that's going to take modern methods of communication, including all of the social media that I never really do. So she said, I will help you do that. Let's set up a nonprofit and we'll get this message out. So the actual nonprofit Homegrown National Park was created by Michelle. And I sat there and watched her do it.
That site again is homegrownnationalpark.org.
Right.
Terrific. Doug Tallamy, congratulations on the work that you're doing, and thanks for spending time with us.
Well, thanks for the opportunity.